Hey guys, welcome back and welcome to 2022. Who knows what this year holds for us? So real quick, I'm gonna do a little prepper pantry haul and then stay tuned because after that I'm gonna do some packaging of milk for long-term food storage. I'll just show you a couple different ways. Now I wanna say something real quick because some of you are not fans of like the food hauls, the pantry hauls, that kind of thing. I've kind of figured out this algorithm with YouTube where those pantry hauls, I'm gonna do them regardless, but if I show them to you on YouTube, it gets more new subscribers in here. And then once those people subscribe, they can hang around for the real meat and potatoes. I'm talking about the good prepper stuff. Because filling your pantry is not exactly the only thing to prepping. It is a good start and everybody should do it, but it's not the real good stuff. So I just found a way to get people to interact with the channel to bring in new subscribers. And then once they're subscribed, they get to learn all this new stuff that maybe they wouldn't have found elsewhere. Like I said, the meat and potatoes of prepping. So that's that. Okay, so here are some more things that I'm adding to my preps, and it's not very much, but you guys know just putting back a little bit each week, every 2 weeks, is gonna build up your prepper pantry very quickly. I'll go over this fast, and then I'm gonna show you something that I'm working on right now. First, I got a big old bottle of ibuprofen because for some reason ibuprofen just goes quick. It's like my go-to for any kind of pain, headache, that kind of thing. Always having pain relievers and medical supplies is a good thing. And then I got this box of instant non-fat dry milk. This is the little pouches, individual pouches. There's 10 of them. And the reason I did the box is because it worked out cheaper price-wise. So there is a bag of this same non-fat dry milk. It's a 25.6 ounce bag. But it works out that the bag costs 28.1 cents an ounce, and in the box it's 27.1 cents an ounce, which is just 1 cent difference, but it adds up. So I'm always looking for the price per ounce to make sure I'm getting the best deal. I'm going to package this in a couple different ways, and that's what the rest of this video is going to be about, is storing milk for long term. So along the lines of milk, again, I did get a bunch of evaporated milk, not a bunch, but 7 of them. And then I got some of these powdered drink mixes. It's the pink lemonade. I love pink lemonade, and these are the individual ones that you add to a bottle of water. I'm going to add these to my bug out bag. So just to have something besides water for the bug out bag. I got a bunch of chocolate pudding because my son has recently acquired a chocolate pudding addiction. And these are super easy to make. I prepare them with the evaporated milk. I do a mixture of evaporated milk and regular, actually the Gossner Farms Dollar Tree milk, and it's delicious. Evaporated milk makes your pudding taste so much better for some reason. I don't know why. It's richer and just tastes better. More chicken noodles, of course. I got 10 of those. I got some sliced carrots. Carrots and potatoes are very high calorie and very high carb, and so they're good things to stock up on. And I know a lot of people say, well, just can your own vegetables. Well, I don't have a garden right now. I live in a small residential community. I started my garden last year, didn't do so well. It's a learning process, guys. If you can't do a full-blown garden, it's actually very inexpensive to get these canned vegetables. I think it's like 50 cents a can. Maybe, I think it might have gone up to 60 cents a can now, so it's very inexpensive. Got some chicken broth, and again, I've said this in one of my videos before, but chicken broth, beef broth, and other broths are good to have on hand. If you run out of water for cooking, and for some reason you don't have a water filtration system and you can't get water for cooking, it's good to have canned water, canned flavored water on hand. You can also use the liquid from your vegetables, like the carrots, to cook with. But yeah, that's why I store up broth in the liquid form, not only the powdered or cubed form. And then I got 4 more cans of the luncheon meat. Alaska Prepper turned me on to this Great Value brand. It's actually really good compared to Spam, and I was kind of a Spam snob because I grew up in Hawaii and I thought nothing compared to real Spam. But if you haven't tried this and you do like Spam, give it a try. It's excellent. Some more canned green chilies, and then I'm always getting more of this chunk chicken breast. This stuff is delicious. You can do so much with it. I make entire batches of chili with this, and you wouldn't even know that it came from a can. And then some more taco shells, because we're always eating tacos and I need to stock up. I got 3 more of these pizza crust mixes. All you need to do is add half a cup of water to these. And not only for pizzas, but there's all sorts of things you can make with it. You can make a flatbread if you run out of bread. You can make flatbreads for sandwiches. And because it only takes water and you don't need to do the whole lengthy bread making process, it's a quick way to have something to make a sandwich on, I guess. Okay, so stay tuned for the rest of this video because I'm going to be working on packaging up some milk for long-term storage and just kind of showing you different ways that you can do it. Okay, so this is what I have together. I'm going to be packaging up some milk for long-term storage. I have all the tools I'm going to need here, but first I'm going to go over different ways to store milk. I think we can all agree that milk is one of those things that it's always good to have on hand. You need it for recipes, for all sorts of things. And so here are just a few ways that you can store milk besides your normal carton of milk that you get from the grocery store that doesn't last very long. You can do evaporated milk. These generally have a best by date of about a year and a half out from when you buy it. This is slightly after the best by date, but I've still been going through these August ones and they're perfectly fine. Evaporated milk has a thicker consistency. Obviously, it's very creamy, so you can cut it down with about half water. So however much evaporated milk you use that same amount of water, and it usually turns out pretty much like milk. It works fine for recipes. And then Gossner Foods, this one here, this is from the Dollar Tree, and I don't know if you can get it anywhere else, but I love to have this on hand. I don't drink milk by itself, so I'm mostly using it for recipes and cooking with. I want to say it's about a year and a half shelf life on this as well. It goes well beyond your best by date though. So these two are shelf stable. Just keep them in the pantry, bust them out when you need them. Make sure you have a can opener on hand for this one. And then right here, this is going to be your long-term food storage. This is from an emergency kit that I bought. It has a 25-year shelf life, and it's powdered whey milk. I don't know if I like whey milk or not. To be honest, I have never made it, so I don't know. But I got one of those big buckets of emergency food, and this was one of the things in it. There's probably 5 pouches of this. But it's sealed, it's ready to go, it's in its own Mylar bag, and you can just put that up somewhere in a temperature controlled environment with no light, and it will last a very long time. But what I'm doing today is I'm gonna take this non-fat dry milk, instant dry milk that I just bought, and I'm gonna package it up in 2 different ways. I bought this box, like I said, because it wound up being cheaper than buying the big pouch of the same Great Value non-fat dry milk. Okay, so the 2 different ways I'm going to package it is I'm going to do Mylar bags. So I have my really nice 1-gallon Mylar bags. These are 7 mils, so they're very, very thick. I have my flat iron. Don't straighten my hair anymore, so this is basically only used for Mylar bags at this point. I have 2 different things of oxygen absorbers here, and I have my quart-sized jars. So I'm going to use jars and Mylar bags. Sharpie, because you need to label the stuff after you're done or before you put it in the bag. And then this is just a little canning funnel. I labeled my oxygen absorbers on top so that I know what is best, which ones are best to use for what size. I'm going to use one of these 300 cc's per quart jar. And then I'm going to use one of these 500 cc's per gallon Mylar bag. And it's a little more than is really required, but for me, oxygen absorbers, it can't hurt to go with a little bit more and know that you're going to get a good seal. So that's how I'm going to do it. So I'm going with the easiest method first. I'm going to do the mason jars. This has been washed with warm water and cleaned and dried out for an entire day, so I know there's no moisture or humidity in the jar. And I just use hot water and Dawn dish soap. So let's go ahead. Okay, so this is what it looks like, individual pouches. They can probably last in these pouches for a pretty good amount of time, but I'm repackaging so they'll last a lot longer. So let's go ahead. Get some scissors here. Let's go ahead and start filling them. I'll see how many pouches will fit in each quart-sized jar. That way, if you decide to buy the same package and use this method, you'll know how many you can put in. Oops. All right, so I got 2, probably gonna fit 2 more. I actually had a whole bunch of jars ready. I had 4 quart-sized jars cleaned and ready to go. I don't think I'll need all 4. Okay, so 3 packages goes to about there. I might as well use the whole jar. Let me go ahead and bust into another one. That's about as far as I'm gonna go. I filled it up. I don't know if you can see that. Right down here below the lip, so I can leave a little bit of space in there for my oxygen absorber. And literally all you do, okay, so 300 cc's. I think when I was researching, you could do 200 cc's per quart jar. But like I said, I like to do more than necessary. Hear that pop? So I'm gonna just take 1 out. Put it right on top there. Close this back up because I don't have my second jar ready. I should have actually filled both of these jars up with the non-fat dry milk and then pulled my oxygen absorbers out, but anyway. Make sure that's on there. So this, here we go. You can pop it right now. Once it creates the seal, it will no longer pop. I'm sure you all know that. But I'm going to go ahead and label the top here. And what I did with my other jars of instant non-fat dry milk, I'll show you what I did. I had packaged these a while back and it came out of a little plastic bag. So I cut out the instructions. I don't know if you can see that. And I just taped it right on there. So keep your instructions unless you just plan on memorizing it or guessing. I think it's handy to have the instructions on there. Okay, so I got my 2 jars done. You can see the little oxygen absorber just resting right on top there. They are labeled, so I'm going to go ahead and stick these in the pantry and then start working on the Mylar bags. I thought I got a whole lot more milk, but when I started opening these up, I realized it's not as much as I thought. So I'm going to take all 3 of these and just put them in one Mylar bag. And I'll probably trim the bag because it's going to be a little too large. Okay, so I have my flat iron warming up. You can see the temperature going up. I set it to 400 degrees, which is probably a bit too hot, but it gets the seal done really quick. So I'm going to go ahead and label this while the bag is flat and date it. I can't believe it's 2022. Jeez Louise. Okay. And then I'm not going to put instructions on this. Actually, I might write the instructions on it because if these Mylar bags get separated from the jars that have the instructions, I want to have it here as well. So I'll go ahead and put the instructions on there. And I just did it like this. I broke it down to just 1 cup of milk recipe because I can double, triple this depending on how much milk I actually need to make. Okay, and I did not get the bags that have the gusseted bottom. That makes it really easy to stand up. So I have to be careful here that I don't knock it over while I'm filling it. And judging by the size of these 3 bags, I'm going to cut off about this much of the Mylar bag just to make it easier to fill. Because I don't think I'm going to need all that material. Okay. So let's see if I could do it without spilling all over. Okay. Next bags I get are going to have the bottom that stands up straight. These were just a good deal at the time. Okay, so 3 of those bags filled me up to about here. And I probably can cut off a little bit more. So I'll go ahead and cut off maybe an inch more. I'm going to get a clean rag and wipe all along here so that the powder is not preventing the seal from closing. Okay, I just used a dry paper towel to wipe along the top over here. And now, what I like to do is get the hot iron and seal half of it and then throw in the oxygen absorber. It just makes it a little bit easier in my opinion, and you'll see how fast this thing works. So that's good to go. Don't touch this like I'm doing because it's very, very hot. I don't know why I felt the need to show you what not to do. Okay, stay. Now I am going to go ahead and just use one of these 500cc oxygen absorbers. Even though this is not quite a gallon, I don't have a gallon of product in there. So go ahead and take one out, reseal your jar up, and then make sure it feels nice and powdery. Make sure it doesn't have any kind of like crunchy, dry feeling, and just stick it on in there. And then I'm gonna seal the other half. So let me come around this way. I always make sure to go over it a few times just to make sure there's no like air bubbles in there where it's like not actually closed up here, but that looks good. Okay, so there's not much air in there right now anyway, but I'm going to flatten this out and then I'll be able to see in a couple hours that a lot of whatever excess air was in here is going to be gone. Not 100% of it, but most of it. And then if you have similar Mylar bags and you've cut the top, it gets very, very sharp over here. So I like to round off the edges because that can hurt you. And you don't want that pokey end poking a hole into one of your other Mylar bags that you're storing it with. So yeah, basically that's it. I have Mylar bag storage for the dry milk. I have some jars. Some mason jars. So this is like a dry canning technique, but without the vacuum sealer. And then if you want to, you can store your milk in other ways, like buying the pre-packaged long-term food storage milk, Gossner Farms milk or Gossner Foods milk from the Dollar Tree, which is incredibly hard to find now, and then evaporated milk in a can. But those are all the ways, guys, and I'm just going to keep encouraging you to prep, and hopefully this helped you out, and I'll see you in the next video.